In the 1920s, Berlin stood as the undisputed global capital of cinematic innovation. Filmmakers in the Weimar Republic ignored the rules of strict realism. They invented an entirely new visual language to tell stories. Using harsh, high-contrast light and deep shadows, they projected internal psychology onto the screen, building twisted, abstract landscapes. The engine producing this art was Babelsberg Studios, a massive complex housing thousands of Europe's top technicians and artists. Germany held a complete grip on the global film market. The destruction of this cultural empire would come entirely from within. In March 1933, Joseph Goebbels was appointed Reich Minister of Public Enlightenment and Propaganda. Looking at the vast infrastructure of the German film industry, he saw a weapon waiting to be wielded by the state. He quickly established the Reich Film Chamber to enforce mandatory ideological alignment across all productions. Overnight, Jewish directors, actors, writers, and anyone deemed politically suspect were banned from working. This purge rapidly extended into the public square, turning centuries of literature, philosophy, and free expression into ash. The demand for total conformity created a culture where artistic risk was replaced by the immediate need for state approval. Forced to choose between compliance and their artistic integrity, Germany's top talent packed their bags. Director Fritz Lang, the legendary mind behind Metropolis, allegedly received an offer from Goebbels to run the state film studios. He boarded a train to exile that same evening. Peter Lorre, the defining face of Weimar's darkest thrillers, quickly followed. A sharp-witted young screenwriter named Billy Wilder gathered his belongings and fled. And Marlene Dietrich, Germany's highest-profile international star, flatly rejected the regime's overtures and sailed for America. In a matter of weeks, this mass exodus drained the German film industry of its technical and creative genius, leaving the sound stages hollow. The initial flight took these artists to neighboring European capitals like Paris, London, and Vienna. They formed makeshift exile communities, struggling to secure visas and piece together work in unfamiliar languages. As the regime's influence crept across borders, temporary havens quickly became dangerous. Needing an ocean between themselves and the Reich, they began a desperate scramble for transatlantic passage. The journey ended for most in a booming, sun-drenched town in California, Hollywood. This forced physical migration created a massive, concentrated transfer of cultural and intellectual capital directly into the American studio system. The arrival of this talent in California brought a specific technical complexity that the American studio system had not yet developed. The brooding aesthetics of German expressionism merged directly into the visual language of American cinema, creating what we call film noir. Writers like Billy Wilder applied an outsider's cynicism to American tropes, directing definitive works like Double Indemnity and Sunset Boulevard. Even mainstream hits absorbed this reality. The cast of Casablanca was heavily populated by actual European refugees, lending genuine, lived trauma to the fiction. By refusing to compromise, the exiles ensured the survival of the Weimar aesthetic, which would continue to influence American cinema for the next 50 years. Back in Berlin, the consequences of Goebbels' policies were immediate. Without its top creators, the massive sound stages of Babelsberg withered under heavy-handed bureaucratic mandates. The boundary-pushing art of the 1920s was replaced by rigid state propaganda and hollow escapist comedies featuring performing dogs. In their pursuit of absolute control over the screen, the regime cast out the exact minds required to make their cinema powerful. It stands as a permanent historical warning. When an ideology demands total conformity and enforces censorship, it crushes its own creative spark. Cultural suppression guarantees its own failure, enriching the rest of the world at the oppressor's expense. This history was brought to you by Stalls or Circle. Thank you for listening.